Hey everyone, today I have a video about grief, and not necessarily to get rid of grief or to elevate your mood, but to just help your body process it a little bit more. Grief is stored in the lungs, so we're going to be doing a lot of things that nourish and support the lungs. We're just going to start off by finding a seat, by finding center. I like to take a block, or you can substitute with a couple books, hardback books that are stacked, and you can put it just right between your legs and make sure that your ankles wrap around. So not the shin bones, not the knees, but that you come forward and your ankles wrap around the blocks or around the block. And then if you have a towel or a blanket, you can fold that and put it underneath you so that you have a bigger seat. A lot of grief is stored in the lungs, but it makes the body kind of move into this C, this curved shape, because we want to have this level of protection. We want to come into ourselves, which is absolutely totally fine, but a lot of that compresses down into the hips. And so to have a healthy structure to support the processing of grief, we come up just a little bit here. So we have this nice big seat. And then go ahead and close down your eyes. We're just going to find some work, some really simple work of working into the breath and finding the center. Grief pulls us off center, understandably so, and we just have this practice of coming back to center line. And maybe we do it, maybe not, but this idea that we're going to start to work in that direction. So after you've closed your eyes, take your attention, take your awareness down to the pelvic bowl. So the pubic bone, the right hip bone, the tailbone, and the left hip bone create this nice bowl that holds the contents of everything above it. So that's all of our organs. And we're just going to find a nice plug. So you're going to just rock forward and back gently. So to know when we're on center, we have to also know when we're off center. And then start to make the rock smaller and smaller until you find a place that is neutral. The neutral place is plugging the perineum down. The perineum is in between your sex organs and your anus. So plugging that spot down, you get a little bit of a curve of the low back, and then to neutralize that to its right position, you pull the right sits bone back and then the left sits bone. So you still have a little curve, but it's not so pronounced that you're sticking your butt out and your pubic bone is completely rolled down. And then imagine that you're lifting off of this triangle that you've created of the perineum, the right sits bone, and the left sits bone. And you can lift yourself off. So imagine you're trying to work your ribs away from that pelvic bowl as you bring your lungs forward and up. And it's not so much so that you thrust the chest out. It's just a very gentle lift away from the pelvic bowl so that the lungs come forward and up. And now they're on the front side of the body, so that when we do a little breath work here to bring in the minerals from the air to nourish and cleanse our lungs, they'll be in proper form to be able to receive that nourishment. And then, even though your eyes aren't open, imagine that you could gaze to where the wall meets the ceiling, so your chin lifts just slightly. It's not so much so that you tilt your head back, it's just a very, very gentle lift so that the vision is forward towards the future. And then here we'll just find some nice deep breath. So inhale, fill all the way up. Exhale, let it out. Take 2 more. As you exhale, relax into your upright position. And then 1 more. Good. Then you can open your eyes. So we'll move just through a little bit of pranayama, again, to start to nourish the lungs. Then we'll move into a supported back bend where we can really open the lungs and have them on the front side of the body. So you're going to take your left hand, put it in front of you, and then your right hand is going to go on top of that as you curl and round into yourself. So go ahead and let your chin tuck to your chest, roll back onto the tailbone so you get a really nice C curve. And at the very peak of the C curve, extend the fingertips forward so that you separate the shoulder blades, sending the lungs to the backside of the body. Then on your inhale, you're going to come open and open your arms up and really puff your chest out, let your head drop back. So you're in a C curve, but in the opposite direction. You're really puffing the front body forward. And then exhale, release the air, compress the lungs as you draw the hands forward. This time, put your left hand on top of the right. And then inhale, you're going to open. And you're going to keep going like that. And you're going to go a little bit faster. We're not going to go super fast here, but a little bit faster. And sharp inhales and exhales. And each time you come forward, you're switching which hand is on top. And see if you can be mindful about all of the little intricate details that are happening as the body moves. So as you come forward, really stretching your fingertips forward. And as you come back, really drawing the shoulder blades together and bringing the lungs to the front side of the body. And what you'll start to feel here, even in just, 30 seconds or so of this breath, is you'll start to feel the warmth in your body begin to rise. I feel the warmth being flushed all the way to my face, and this is how you know that the lungs are being flushed and they're being nourished. The shoulder joints are being worked, the hip joints are being worked, even the ankles that are pressing on the floor. Let's do 10 more. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good, everyone, really slow. Inhale, open up. And exhale, close. Wonderful. Release out of that. We're going to go into a supported back bend to get the lungs into the front side of the body. So a couple options here I want to show just in case you don't have blocks. If you have a blanket or a thick blanket or a towel will do really well. You can roll up the towel or blanket to whatever thickness that you would like. And this is going to go right in this upper back part here. This is where oftentimes we round. It's like the brick in our back. It's really hard to lift from. But when we lift from that place, then the lungs come to the front side of the body. So here's one option, and I'll do an option with 2 blocks here in a moment if you have 2 blocks. You're going to put that brick part right where the blanket is, and then arms come up overhead, and you get a nice little curve of the body, and the lungs come to the front side of the body. Second option is to take 2 blocks if you have them, set one on the medium setting and one on the high setting. This lower block will go in the brick. So the bottom edge will go right at the tips of the shoulder blades, and be super mindful about that placement. And then you're going to take the block underneath your head and adjust, and then arms out to the sides. Your legs can be in any variation. They can be straight out. The legs can be bent, or you can take the soles of your feet together and let your knees splay out wide. If you do that, I would tuck some pillows or grab some things that are around you and tuck so that you don't let the groins splay, that the groins are nice and supported. And so now that the lungs are on the front side of the body, we're just going to take some nice deep breaths to continue to nourish and help any grief that is in there begin to process. See if you can arrive at this really nice guttural throat breathing. So you pull air in through the back of your throat, and you release air out the back of your throat. Try to get to the place where you can inhale for 6 and exhale for 6. This is the count of heart coherence. So our heartbeat responds to every single emotion that's going through our body. And when our heart is in coherence, it's beating regularly. And then it communicates through the autonomic nervous system to the brain. And then the brain is brought also into coherence so that you can think clearly, make decisions, process a little bit better, and really regulate, coming back to homeostasis, coming back to center. Let's just take 5 more breaths here. And then when you're ready to come out of this, try not to push yourself up to strain the neck. Instead, you'll just lazily roll off to the right or to the left, and then press yourself all the way up and around. Our final pose today is going to be a forward fold. It's the final act of coming back into ourselves, back into our home, and back into our safety. If you have a blanket or a towel, I recommend folding that and setting it behind you so that you can sit up on it, again, giving space to the pelvis, which is that bowl that is supporting the rest of the structures up above. And then you'll just take your hands, lean to one side, take your hand and grab a hold of the butt bone and pull it back so that you already have a nice tilt in the pelvis. Bend the knees, please, here, and then start to fold forward, getting your ribs to land on your thighs, and then cup your heels. If you have blocks or books or other scaffolding props present, you can use that to stack and bring your forehead down too. If not, you can just kind of let your head melt. Don't let it dangle all the way down to strain the neck. But you can kind of just bring the head down in line with the shoulders. With the knees bent, it gives support to the torso so that we don't have to strain, we don't have to puff, we don't have to squish our organs, that they're well placed and nourished so that when we come into our home, it's like we have a little bit of a cleaner home. And then once we have our home that's a little bit cleaner, it's well structured, then we can start to set up a recipe for moving through our days, eventually getting back to joy or happiness, or even just getting to that place of okayness, which is monumental. Let's take 5 more breaths here. Allow your nervous system to settle via the breath. There's nothing you have to do with your mind. Just let your body take over. You are more than welcome to stay here for a little while longer, as much time as you have. If you'd like to move on into the rest of the day, go ahead and walk back up on your fingertips. Sit up at a 90-degree angle with the knees still bent, drawing the heels back. When you draw the heels back, it brings the chest forward. So coming back to 90-degree angle, just like we did in the beginning, the angle of stability. That's all I have for you guys today. Hope that it helps a little bit. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button to like the video and to subscribe to our channel. Be well, my friends.